One day, I was dining at a fancy hotel with my son, Henry.
Just because you only graduated from high school, you can't get any good job, right? You're at the bottom of society. High school grads seem to run in the family.
That's when a former classmate, who had become the hotel manager, thoroughly belittled me. Henry got angry at this.
Is that the attitude of the manager? My dad has been advancing on his own 2 feet. Even though you know my dad, I can forgive your attitude. And high school grads have their own pride and determination. It's not pleasant to be dismissed in a single word. In fact, you don't need to come to work from tomorrow.
What are you even talking about?
Confused, she stood there. Henry sighed. Then he pulled a business card from his breast pocket and placed it on the table so that she and everyone else around could see it. My name is Oliver. Born and raised between parents of gentle nature. My childhood was surrounded by bucks of various genres. People thought I was a quiet boy. Life didn't change much through elementary and middle school. Thanks to my extensive reading, I never struggled academically. My knowledge and thinking skills always put me at the top of my class. As I was graduating middle school, the adults around me expected me to go on to an elite university. I had a childhood friend. Her name is Ann Davis. She always drew me into her circle of friends. Whether it was field trips, camps, or school trips, she was always by my side. She saved me from a lonely school life. Her constant saying to me was, "Oliver, you're capable. You should have more confidence." This came more frequently once we reached middle school. She grew up in a well-off family, always excelling academically and even playing piano and violin. She looked cute and had a lot of talent. She continued to excel in middle school, always showing her perfect scores to her parents with a laugh. However, her smile faded once when she didn't score perfectly on a test. The subject was math, and the teacher had added a tricky question at the end, and couldn't solve it completely, though she got close and earned partial credit. At the time, she gripped her test paper in frustration. But the real problem came when the teacher said,
"Someone solved it."
She knew immediately who it must be. Clutching the wrinkled test paper, she stormed down the hallway. Bursting through the classroom door, she stood in front of a boy.
It was you, wasn't it? The one who solved the math problem.
So absorbed in his book, the boy didn't realize the words were directed at him. And, getting no reaction from him, became even more irritated.
Are you even listening to me? Hey, Oliver.
Her loud voice finally caught my attention.
What's up, Anne?
It's not what's up. You're the one who solved the math problem.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You must know. The tests have been returned.
Well, I'll get mine next period.
Embarrassed by her mistake, she suddenly laughed awkwardly and then hurried out of the classroom.
I wonder what she really wanted.
Back then, I just thought her actions were strange. But when I thought back on it after entering middle school, I realized she must have been terribly embarrassed. As for that math test, it turned out I was indeed the only one in the grade who got it right, just as she had said. Maybe because of such incidents, and started asking me to show her my test score every time the test was returned. And when she saw my perfect test score, she showed me hers in frustration. Although Anne's grades were not as good as mine, she was still second in our grade. She could have been prouder of her own achievements, but she always looked frustrated. One day, Anne asked me, "How do you manage to keep getting perfect scores?" I replied,
As someone who has been immersed in literature, to me, tests are just the teacher's wishes. They're making tests to make sure we understand. So, listen carefully in class, and don't forget to prepare and review. Then, challenge yourself to problem books, and you'll start getting better scores. The reason you can't beat me is that you don't spend enough time facing yourself, always thinking about winning.
After I finished speaking, I checked her expression. She was looking at me intently. Her face seemingly lit up with joy.
No wonder I can't beat you. I really respect you right now. I see.
It seemed like she had resolved something within herself, but there was still something mysterious mixed in her behavior. Sometimes I just couldn't understand her. But that's exactly why she intrigued me. Unlike others, she had her own solid core of self. Others just blindly followed what their parents or teachers said. That's why I started to like her a bit more. I wanted to know more about her. What we call liking someone was sprouting within me. By the time I clearly realized this, people around us were teasingly asking if Anne and I were dating.
No way. Not with someone so boring.
Anne would say, her face turning red. After that, Anne and I became high school students. Our school sent a lot of students to top-level universities, and also became one of those aiming for the top university. I wanted to watch over her future, so I decided to take on the challenge with her. In a space filled with elites known as the advanced class, we improved our academic skills through healthy competition with those around us. Even after school ended, we were immersed in studying. On weekends, I attended study sessions and studied ahead of others. During the summer break, I had a lot of time, so I was able to take time to study subjects I wasn't good at. In the next year, I started thinking about my university major. Anne and I were probably the only ones studying so much at the same high school. When we had some spare time from studying in the summer of the following year, Anne and I rushed off to a local summer festival. We celebrated our academic achievements with birthday presents of new clothes from our parents. With the purpose of showcasing these, we went to a local festival. She appeared in front of me, her face flushed, at the appointed time. By then, it was starting to dawn on us that maybe we liked each other. So, her blush was probably just shyness.
You look beautiful, Anne. It really suits you.
Stop it. You're making me blush.
Her fidgeting in her summer dress made my heart race. My heart pounded painfully, fluttered, and then made me breathe heavily.
Shall we start going around? Let's get something to drink.
Okay.
We didn't hold hands. Instead, we made sure not to lose sight of each other in the crowd, moving through and occasionally escaping from it. During that time, we were able to buy delicious foods and exchange attractive accessories as gifts. Such moments were too much fun and all too short. Before we knew it, it was time for the grand fireworks, a local specialty, to wildly bloom in the night sky. and I projected the colorful fireworks into each other's eyes, memorizing each other's smiles dyed in the vivid colors of the flames. I thought these happy times would continue. After graduation, I planned to confess, and then we would start dating. But an event that tore apart those dreams and ideals drastically changed my life. The road to the high school runs through the downtown area. One day, as I was biking through as usual, I heard an eerie scream from behind. When I looked back, there was a large black shadow. By the time I realized what it was, I was already being thrown into the air. And just before I felt the terror, I completely lost consciousness. Later, I regained consciousness and was able to receive proper treatment. At that time, and was there too, crying. That's when I was informed that I had been hit by a car speeding down the downtown street. The memory of what I saw just before losing consciousness and the fact that I was hit by a car merged in my mind, and the fear exploded inside me, causing my body to shake terribly. Anne sat beside me and enveloped me in a gentle embrace, whispering softly,
It's okay, Oliver. Your injuries will heal quickly. You don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to be afraid, okay?
At that moment, I felt her motherly love and affection. Her gentle embrace, like holding a crumbling glass sculpture, was able to soothe me for that moment. The warmth of that time was something I could not forget for a while. However, the fear that had been seared into my heart did not disappear. Just a simple trigger would bring back the memories of that day, and I would lose my sanity. After the storm of my mental distress subsided, I would feel negative for a while. I could not bring myself to study at all. Moreover, thinking that such an incident could happen again, I would lose sight of the meaning of my own existence. Everything I had built up could be shattered by someone else's carelessness or irresponsibility. Thinking about this made me lose sight of any meaning or value in doing anything. For me, who aspires to be a top university, it is a disadvantage to not be able to study well at this time. So I felt an extraordinary impatience with myself. This led me to a life relying on tranquilizers to maintain my mental stability. Yet, I still couldn't progress with my studies. But even in such a state, Anne continued to encourage and support me. However, she also was aiming for an elite university. As someone aiming for the same university, I knew the immense amount of study she needed to undertake. That's why it was hard. I was happy to receive her kind words, but thinking that it might jeopardize Anne's future made me feel suffocated. Just like I was struggling every day, and gradually lost the luxury to offer gentle words day by day. That's what I made a decision.
If I don't pull myself together now, everything I've built up will be wasted. I don't want to leave you behind. That's not what I want to do.
Then, just leave me alone. I'm trying to figure it out on my own. No more, just stop fussing over me.
No, alright, if you say so. I don't know you anymore. I'll go on alone.
Yes, do that. And forget about me, and grasp your own dreams. Stop talking to me.
You idiot.
Anne slapped me strongly. Strangely, it didn't hurt. More than that, seeing her really sad and pained expression as she ran away from me before, I felt a very deep pain. A pain I would probably never forget. After that, high school life became awkward. Even my close guy friends would laugh and ask if maybe Ann and I had broken up. Honestly, I could easily laugh it off or brush it aside. But the hardest part was not having Ann there in the places where she would usually say good morning or take care. That was really hard on me. Gradually, I became so reluctant to go to school that I eventually stopped going altogether. I changed the university I was aiming for. I ended up applying to a much lower-ranked university in a local area than the one I had aimed for. But there was no way I could score decently, given that I couldn't focus on my studies. In the end, I couldn't even pass for that significantly downgraded university. There were still many universities I could get into. However, my family wasn't very wealthy, and due to my period of truancy, I couldn't even get a decent scholarship. If I didn't get into a public university, I would definitely have to take a gap year. So, I needed to try to get into a national or public university. But I had lost all interest by then. What should I do? I had pushed away the person who had always supported me. I had betrayed the expectations of my parents, my teachers, everyone, all of it, and here I was, fallen. Doing something now wouldn't brighten my future anymore. Even if I tried, the terror of that time would just break me again. I was just a dropout, a burnout now.
Don't joke around.
That's what Ann said to me when I was thinking all this.
Oliver, you can do it. You're the guy I couldn't beat on grades no matter how hard I tried. You can't give up on someone like this.
Her face looked both frustrated and sad, which stabbed me in the heart, because it overlapped with the face she showed that day.
It's fine, Anne. The Oliver you knew is gone. He's gone. So, please stop expecting anything from me.
What? For 4 years? No, even before that. You just easily dismiss all the goodwill from the teachers who have supported you all this time. That's right. You might as well walk the path of a high school graduate, suffer on your own, and then really disappear.
She slammed the door to my room and ran out of the house. Hearing her loud footsteps, I felt that she had finally left my side for good. It made me sad. 30 years have passed since then. Now, I'm quite a middle-aged man, but I haven't become a reclusive overweight guy. Surprisingly, I'm now in a busy job that requires me to travel all over the country. I earn more than the average person could reach, living somewhat luxuriously. That said, I'm not splurging on luxury cars or pouring money into expensive watches. I sometimes try expensive wine, or picky about the pens I use for work. I spend my money on these small joys. Nothing else interests me. As for love, well, I don't currently wish to be with anyone. After I broke up with Anne, I met a woman. Unlike Anne, who always wanted to lead, this woman was calm and usually stepped back a bit. Back then, I was quite sharp, and I didn't really like her. I thought she was dull because there was no competition. But when I was about to collapse from running too hard, she always quietly supported me. I fell for her kindness and proposed to her. Today, I'm going to have dinner at a first-class hotel restaurant with our only son. He, a young adult, is also a busy man, living through hectic days alongside me. We only get to eat together when our days off coincide. Because it's such a rare opportunity, I quickly made a reservation at the restaurant.
Thanks for today, Dad. I can't believe you invited me to such an amazing place.
We're family. No need to be so formal.
Right. Looking back, Dad, you were quite immature dealing with a kid.
No need to laugh about those memories. Look, the food is about to arrive.
Yes, indeed.
Henry and I came to toast today. Our eyes turned to the dishes being served. A dish that captured the essence of spring with melting snow and fresh greenery. Beside it, glasses filled with champagne. After the waiters left, we quickly raised our glasses to make a toast. We exchanged smiles and then drank. As the main dish concluded and the full course was nearing its end, the distinct sound of heels approached our table. I was at a loss for words when I turned to see who it was.
Thank you for visiting our hotel today. I am the hotel manager, Ann Davis. Oh, no.
She was surprised to see my face.
Oliver, why are you here?
And you. I had no idea you worked here. For a while, we just looked at each other. Then, regaining her composure first, and frowned.
Why are you even here? You must still be living that shut-in life on your parents' dime. You don't belong in a place like this, splurging with your parents' money. You've really hit rock bottom. You couldn't get a decent job because you only finished high school, right? You're at the bottom of society. A high-class place like this doesn't suit someone like you.
And she was harsh in her words toward me. Honestly, I didn't feel angry even after hearing that. But Henry felt differently.
Is that the attitude of the manager? My dad has been advancing on his own 2 feet. Even though you know my dad, I can forgive your attitude. And high school grads have their own pride and determination. It's not pleasant to be dismissed in a single word. In fact, you don't need to come to work from tomorrow.
Anne was taken aback by his words.
What do you know? You must be just like him. A high school grad, too. Guess it runs in the family. It's really disgusting.
But her momentum didn't stop. I finished my champagne with a deep sigh. And next to me, Henry spoke to her.
It seems this role is too much for you. Starting next month, we'll have a new manager here. You don't even have to come in tomorrow.
What are you talking about?
Confused, she stood there. He pulled out a business card from his breast pocket and placed it on a table where everyone could see. Now, I run a major hotel holdings company, overseeing numerous large hotels. The hotel we're in is under my company, and Henry is the direct manager. He has the ultimate authority to manage personnel here, and with a single contract or notice, he has the power to make decisions about people. Seeing the business card, Anne looked very surprised. Then her expression turned to anger, and she ran off toward the manager's office. Concerned, Henry and I paused our meal and followed her. When we entered the manager's office, there was Anne, her eyes red with tears, working on paperwork. Upon noticing us, she glared weakly at me.
Why did you come? You should just fire me and be done with it.
I'm sorry about earlier, but I won't leave until we've talked, so tell me, why did you say those things?
I don't know. Just leave me alone.
At first, Anne was reluctant to tack. I knew my approach earlier wasn't the best, but still, I felt a duty to hear her out. So I knelt down right in front of her while she was working. Seeing this, Anne stopped her work and began to fidget.
It seems like I'm in the way here.
Henry said that and quietly stepped out of the room, softly closing the door behind him. Once we were alone in the room, Anne stood still for a while. I thought it wouldn't be right to start the conversation myself, so I simply waited for her to speak. And just when I felt my sense of time might be numbing, she began to talk.
I've been so worried. After the way we parted, I was scared to meet you. I feared you'd hate me and yell at me never to come back. I've been lonely since university. The place you used to be has remained empty. Still, I had to move forward, so I just kept pushing myself. I worked and worked, climbing to a place where maybe Oliver would think I'm incredible. I made it. Thanks to that, I became the manager of this hotel. When I saw you here dining today, I was so happy. Finally, the time had come when you would see me. Now it was my turn to inspire you. But it seemed like you were living a much better life. Anger, sadness, and a mix of other emotions came flooding in.
I hugged Anne. As she was about to cry again, I wanted to soothe some of the tangled emotions inside her. But instead, I made her cry. I'm sorry, I let you run on feeling alone. It seems I caused you days of anguish and lonely times. In my arms, she continued to cry. If I held her tightly with both arms, she surely couldn't escape. I realized how small she was when I hugged her. As the color of the sun changed, she regained her composure.
But I'm relieved. It seems like you're moving forward properly.
Since then, I've thought a lot. I asked myself every night whether this was okay, and I realized I couldn't stay this way, so I started moving forward on my own.
I see. I'm sorry for saying such awful things.
The one who should apologize is me. It was me who made you suffer. With that, we decided to let bygones be bygones. I called Henry back from outside and told him to disregard earlier actions. Henry gladly accepted. When we got home, Henry asked,
Were you two dating back then?
No, it wasn't like that.
Oh, not like that, huh? So you liked her then?
Henry gave me a mischievous smile. You're a bit wicked, aren't you? Well, back in our student days, I think we both had feelings for each other, but something happened and I couldn't express my feelings.
Was it that accident during your senior year of high school?
Yeah, it took away my drive to move forward, and we ended up going our separate ways. To that, Henry casually responded,
I see. But why not start dating now? You two seem to have a great vibe in the manager's office, and she wouldn't show her tears to just anyone. She cried like that because it was in front of you.
Do you think so?
Yes, it might be nice to take her out to dinner. She probably still has feelings for you.
Really? What should I do?
No point in overthinking. Otherwise, you'll keep dwelling on mom's parsing, right?
That's true. Thanks to Henry's words, I felt encouraged to fulfill the promise I made to myself back then. But I still needed to sort out my feelings before seeing it again. That evening, I reminisced about the fun times of my youth, the screeching brakes that tore it apart, and the end of our youth together. That's where I've never been interested in any other woman. Her smile and cheerful expressions still shine brightly in my heart even now. In front of that light, all other stars seem to fade. Speaking of which, her last name was still the same. The fact that her last name hasn't changed likely means she's still unmarried. Given the tears she showed, she probably hasn't found a partner she can trust her heart with. If that's the case, we can surely meet again and have a proper conversation. Thinking this, I sent an email to the contact information she gave me long ago. It might have changed by now, but I sent it hoping it would still reach her, and then I went to sleep. The contact information Anne gave me was still active. We didn't talk much there, but we firmly decided on a date. On the day, she appeared in age-appropriate attire. She still carried a hint of her old charm, emitting a beautiful aura. We entered the restaurant we had planned to dine at and enjoyed some desserts there. The smile she let slip was the same as it had been during our student days. I asked her about various things. After graduating university, Anne first worked at a bank to study the flow of money. From there, she switched jobs to a company under the holdings I manage. Leveraging her experience from her banking days, she quickly made her mark and was headhunted repeatedly. Eventually, her achievements caught the eye of the HR department at the holdings, and they invited her to join us. She agreed and officially switched to our company. She was a bit surprised when she saw the president of the holdings had the same name as me. But thinking back to how troubled I had been in our student days, she initially thought it was just a coincidence of names. Even after joining our company, she continued to shine with her talents. Back then, she was still young, and many men showed interest in her. However, Anne turned them all down, steadfastly remaining single. Why didn't you settle down with anyone?
Because, Oliver, you're still shining in my heart. I can't think of any other man. I still love you.
And she had continued to think of me and had reached middle age.
But Oliver, you're married, aren't you? You even have a son.
Yes, but my wife passed away a long time ago when she gave birth to him.
That must have been tough.
She had admired me since the times when I was still harsh towards everyone around me. Her kindness saved me. The shock of losing her has never faded.
I see. Then I want to help ease that pain. You're terribly weak when it comes to emotional pain. So I'll be your next support.
Anne, thank you. Looking into her earnest gaze, I remembered the Anne of the past. The passion and conviction in her eyes were as direct as they had been back then. It had been a long time since I'd seen those eyes, but having them directed at me today, I remembered. It was those beautiful, shining eyes that had sparked my affection. Some time had passed, and I had returned to my busy days. Today, I was headed to a ski resort in Colorado to address a minor issue and conduct an on-site inspection. On my phone was a message from Anne.
Take care.
It was just one line, but for me, it was the most motivating. After that dinner, Anne and I had started dating. However, given our ages, we often wondered what kind of relationship we should have. But over time, as we aligned our feelings and thoughts, we found a relationship that suited us. Though I'm busy every day, when we find time, we go to amusement parks or try trendy new drinks together, I hope to nurture our relationship further and perhaps marry soon. Back in my student days, I once pushed away the most important thing in my life. Normally, once something has left your side, it doesn't come back. But if you regret your actions and hope for its return, a miracle might happen. Having pushed Anne away and left her to fend for herself, I was fortunate to meet her again. I don't want to put this together by chance or fate. I've come to deeply cherish the connection I have with her. Since becoming involved with Anne, I've found even more motivation in my work. The concept behind the hotel chain I started. For those tired of the daily grind, those carrying heavy emotional burdens, and those seeking an escape from the ordinary, I travel across the United States today, building a hotel chain for them.